Hey everyone, it's Michael GoosebumpsFan. Today I'm going to be doing another Goosebumps book review for the SlappyWorld series. This is Goosebumps SlappyWorld number 6, The Ghost of Slappy by R.L. Stine. I'm going to tell you straightforward, this book is not perfect, mainly because of the ending. The ending is pretty much the area I would say is kind of a little rushed, a little bit of a very horrible choice was made. This is a spoiler-free review, but I want to let you know this is probably my favorite of the current, at least the first 6 of the SlappyWorld books. I've read all 6 at the current moment. There's a lot more after that so far. There's like 3 or 4 books that are currently released. There's 3 being planned to come out, according to, especially the one coming this March. That cover design is amazing, by the way. But the book itself, I really like the content too. I also loved Shutter Mansion, which was the previous book, book number 5. The book before that was I Am Slappy's Evil Twin. No, 2 books before that. I Am Slappy's Evil Twin. That was very good. Slappy Birthday to You was very good. Please Don't Feed the Weirdo was pretty good. The SlappyWorld series has been mostly pretty solid, I would say. But one thing that somebody pointed out to me is that every single ending is either rushed or it's just straight out bad. Every single ending of the SlappyWorld series. I'm not used to that, but somebody pointed that out to me and they're right. They're 100% right about that. I read the first 3 or 4 books before Christmas, and I didn't realize that until this person had said that to me the other day. Either in a comment or on Facebook or something. One of the Facebook things I follow. Somebody had said this, and they're totally right. They're 100% right. It might have been Spongy. I think Spongy might have been the person who had said that to me in my comments on my videos. Anyway, Ghost of Slappy. What is this book about? Is Slappy going to become a ghost in the book? Is he a ghost already? What happens here? I don't want to tell you too much. Again, this is a spoiler-free review. But I gotta tell you straightforward, I was really surprised with the beginning of this book. Basically, there's a kid, your main character here. What is his name again? I just finished this book today, and Shep. His name is Shepard, but his nickname is Shep. S-H-E-P. Shep is a scaredy cat because in his basement, his house has a ghost named Anna Lee. No one else in the house believes him, not his sister, not his mom or his dad. But they're kind of making fun of him because he packs up too much crap. He's going on an overnight camping trip out in the woods with a teacher of his, and I guess their bus driver as well, but the bus driver leaves for the night, and the class, right? I was immediately taken aback by that. I was kind of like, we're going to do a Slappy book with kind of an urban legend feel out in the woods? That could be awesome. It could be like Slappy meets Ghost Camp type stuff. And it doesn't last too long, but the part of that we got with the camping trip, it was eerie, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't too scary, but it had its atmosphere to it that I really loved about it. One of the interesting things, you might be wondering how Slappy got involved in the story. Essentially, the teacher of that class that this main character, Shep, is involved with, he's kind of a horror nut, you know, kind of like an R.L. Stine type or a Stephen King type. He likes to mess with his class and tell them scary stories. The kids all kind of suspect that night that when they sit down and have the whole campfire, hangout, dinner time type thing before they go to bed, he's probably going to tell them some ghost stories and freak them out. It's just that kind of guy. He's just that kind of teacher, which in my opinion would be a cool teacher. I love teachers in general that are like that. This particular guy, he drives up with the school bus, or a bus, whatever they decide to take to travel to the campgrounds, and when the kids get to the door of the bus, any of the kids, whether it be Shep specifically or any of the other kids, they had propped up a Slappy the ventriloquist dummy in the driver's seat, pretending like it was driving people. And the teacher would take a picture of you when you would react to this thing. And it was really weird and goofy, but apparently also the teacher had found out that this Slappy, or this dummy, he doesn't know its name, Slappy apparently, he found a Wikipedia page for it, and it was in like a relative's house or something, and he ended up looking up through the Wikipedia page. He found a little note card inside of its jacket pocket and read it. Apparently the note card, like in all the Night of the Living Dummy books, is supposed to bring Slappy to life. And then Slappy comes to life while driving the bus and tries to kill everybody by swaying the bus back and forth, left and right, trying to hit trucks and cars and stuff. Slappy tries to kill a whole group of kids on a school bus, and it was awesome. And they stopped him, they read the card, they got him supposedly dead now, I guess. Like, they allowed him to not be alive anymore by reading the card to undo the spell. You know, Kuru, Marie, Odana, Loma, Malanu, Karano, that whole thing. And, so Slappy is asleep currently. And they take him out of the driver's seat, and the teacher is so petrified, and so is the bus driver, of everything that just happened, that he pretty much just tells the kids later on, like, hey, you can go tell your parents, I understand if you're mad at me, I understand if they're mad at me, I deserve to be mad at, because I caused all of this with this dummy. And at that night, when they're sitting down with the camp story idea to tell ghost stories, he decides not to do that. The kids all kind of start talking about what happened with the Slappy dummy. The kids are asking the teachers questions, or the teacher questions. And when they go to get the dummy, to take it out and let everybody look at it and pass it around the campfire to look at this thing and see it for themselves now that it's supposedly asleep, Slappy's gone missing. He's gone missing, right? So they assume, and I thought this was a really creepy idea, that Slappy had gotten up and left the tent and just wandered out in the woods somewhere, right? That's the whole idea. That was so eerie as a really cool, creepy idea of a ventriloquist dummy walking around out in the woods. Do you know what it would be like? Okay, I live in the South, so I know what it's like to go hang out in the woods and stuff till, like, dusk. Do you know what it would be like to be walking out in the dark in the woods and come across a ventriloquist dummy that happens to be alive, just kind of walking around? Now, mind you, as creepy as that is, that's not what happens in the story. Basically, one of the kids, before Slappy was brought back to life, actually stuffed Slappy into the main character, Shep's, bag. It was one of the mean kids that he used to be friends with. I think his name was Trevor. Our main character, Shep, takes the dummy home accidentally, and things begin to happen, right? And it's a pretty fun, insane story. There's a particular scene that I want to reference here. What I've told you so far is a pretty good chunk of the book. I would say that's like the first 20 or 30 pages of the book. For a 133-page long book, that's a lot of the book to tell you about, so I don't want to tell you too much more. But I do want to highlight this one scene in the book that I love so much, in case you haven't read the book, but if you have, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'll try to illustrate as much of it as I can to you, to really get you to understand why I love this particular scene so much. It's my favorite scene in the whole book. It's a cemetery scene, and it's snowing, of course, with this particular moment in the book. And Shep comes across Slappy out in a cemetery. That scene got to me so bad. And the climax of that scene is even better. It's fantastic. Now again, does Slappy become a ghost in the book, or is he already a ghost when the book starts? That's the fun part of the book, that you can go in and not know anything about it, but I actually think there's some pretty shocking moments in the book itself. And again, that whole cemetery scene is eerie, it's spooky, it's creepy, and I love it. It's probably the best thing out of the whole SlappyWorld series I've read so far, as much as I've liked a lot of the books, and even therefore I'd say loved, I dare say loved, a lot of the SlappyWorld books, like I Am Slappy's Evil Twin, Shuttered Mansion, Escape from Shuttered Mansion, whatever you want to call the title of that book. There have been a lot of great moments in the SlappyWorld series up to this point in Book 6, but this was a really solid scene with that cemetery moment. It's probably my favorite thing in the entire book. But again, like I said earlier in my video, by the time that you get to the finale of the book, like the last chapter of the book is such a slap in the face to the reader. It's awful. It's awful. It's like the worst, it's probably the worst choice you could have possibly had for the end of this story. This story should have had another like 10 pages attached to it, another 15, something like that. And it would have been perfect at that point, if it would have been completely predictable in that regard, rather than what we got, right? I hate the ending of the book. I think it's absolutely stupid and just so anticlimactic. It's the big word to use for the SlappyWorld series. Almost every single book is anticlimactic, or just has a bad ending in general, right? This is a great example of an anticlimax, period. There wasn't much to it at the finale. It was kind of a cliffhanger almost, but there's no book to pick up after this. And I understand that we've had so many Slappy books over the years that are just focused on Slappy that it's hard to not end them the same way every single time. And this is kind of where I kind of give this book a little bit more credit and say it's my favorite of the SlappyWorld series, because I understand trying to break away from that. But is it satisfying as a finale? That last page, that last chapter, is it satisfying? No, it's not. At all. It was an awful ending, and it was stupid. It made one of the elements to the book completely pointless. And you'll know the element when you read the book, if you haven't read it already. I really love the book. I loved most things about it. I really, really enjoyed the book. I want to let you know that. This is the same situation I felt with Slappy's Nightmare, the Series 2000 book. I loved Slappy's Nightmare, and the last chapter of the book was so awful and completely just ruined all of the magic and all of the amazing atmosphere that book had developed until that last chapter. If you had cut out that last chapter of Slappy's Nightmare, that book would have been perfect. It would have been the best Not a Living Dummy book in my opinion. And it's ruined now because of that last chapter being so freaking bad. If you ever read Slappy's Nightmare, don't read the last chapter. If you do, you'll hate it. I promise you, it's a really underwhelming piece of crap. If you're a younger reader, you won't mind it probably too much, but if you're somebody older like myself that's coming to these books and reading them for the first time, really, for a lot of them, honestly, you're going to hate that ending. Slappy's Nightmare has one of the most awful, unsatisfying endings ever, but most of the book is amazing. Everything else in the book is absolutely perfect. Very much like this. I would say Ghost of Slappy. I heard somebody mention earlier on a video that I had posted yesterday or whatever that had commented saying they weren't a big fan of this book. I love the book. Again, the ending is just bad. Really bad. Really, really bad. Now, since this is a Slappy book amidst the SlappyWorld series, of course not every single book is a Slappy-focused book. They just kind of have interjections every once in a while of Slappy commenting on the story or telling you we're going to go to this part of the book now on a different day, or you'll have him making just cracks and one-liners and jokes. How does that feel in this book? For me, I've said this in the previous videos, I think it works better when you have a Slappy-focused book like this, or I Am Slappy's Evil Twin, or Slappy Birthday to You. When it's something like It's Alive, or Escape from Shutter Mansion, or something like that, I don't think it's as good. I don't think it should be there. It's just kind of a weird couple of wasted pages on the book just to have it, just to give it an excuse for why it's called SlappyWorld, and have him kind of doing a telltale, or a Crypt Keeper type thing where he's telling us the stories. It's kind of a weird thing. I don't like the SlappyWorld interjections too much with Slappy. I don't know. It kind of depends on what we're talking about. In this book, it fits fine. You know, sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. This book has some kind of wish-washy ones. Not too much to nitpick over anyway, though. I don't have a whole lot more to say about this book. I don't want to spoil more for you. I could talk about the book non-stop and tell you the whole thing about it and just how I feel in depth about everything, but I don't want to do that because it's a spoiler-free review. I hope that if you take out the time to read The Ghost of Slappy, that you'll enjoy this as much as I did. I think it is a freaking great book until that ending. I would love to hear in the comments section all the other people rambling and ranting about that ending, if that's the way you felt. If you didn't, give me some reasons of what you felt about it. Why did you like the book as much as you did? Did you hate the book altogether? Everything about it. I'd love to hear that down below too, especially if it's Spongy, who commented earlier on a previous video saying that he didn't like the book all that much, or she. I think it's a he. I don't know anymore with names like Spongy. Anyway, when it comes to Goosebumps SlappyWorld, book number 6, The Ghost of Slappy, again, I love the cover. I love the book so much. It's so close to being perfect. That's what's so frustrating about this. I took out as much time as I could last night before I went to bed to read as much as I could of the book. I read the rest of it this morning before I went to work. And it was incredible. It was a great, great, great Goosebumps book. One of the best I've read in a long time. One of the best of the Slappy series, in my opinion. And this one really kind of crushed me at the end with how bad it was. But again, that cemetery scene, you shouldn't pass up this book alone for that particular scene. That scene was amazing. I love the book. It was great until that horrible ending. If I had to rate The Ghost of Slappy on a 5-star basis, I would easily give this book a high 4 out of 5 stars. It's so close to being a 5 out of 5. So close. I just can't do it, though. I have to have my little nitpicks countered. And this is not a nitpick. This is an ending to a book that I spent time reading the whole book. That ending is bad. It just is. It's a cop-out. It sucks. Again, just like Slappy's Nightmare. Great, fantastic book. Ending sucks. It's a shame, but that's how it is. What are your thoughts on The Ghost of Slappy, guys? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments section. Did you love the book? Is it your favorite of the whole series? Or like I said, do you hate the book? I'd love to hear all that down below. What do you think about my review? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know. I'd love to hear everything you have to say about this. This is going to be a fascinating book to see reviews and comments on, because I feel very different from a lot of people on this book, I think. Anyway, what are your thoughts? By the way, I love the kind of urban legend feel with this and the whole camping trip. I wish we had stuck with just a whole book about kids camping and Slappy wandering around in the woods. You know how creepy that would have been with him luring kids off and stuff to go be a slave for him? It could have been great, and we didn't do that. But I liked what we got. I loved what we got. But that was a cool idea, too, and we didn't go with it. A Slappy camping book. That was a really good idea. Anyway, what are your thoughts, guys? Put them down below. Thank you for watching, and may the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys today, and goodbye.